Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for visiting us this evening at Don't Tell Mama. At this time, please take a moment to silence all electronic and other noise-making devices that may interrupt this evening's performance in our intimate space. Also, as a courtesy to the performers, the use of flash photography is strictly prohibited during this evening's performance. And please refrain from text messaging during the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Don't Tell Mama is proud to present Ricky Ritzel's Broadway!
Summer lovin' had me a blast.
Summer lovin' happened so fast.
Met a girl crazy for me. She got a cramp.
He ran by me, got my suit down.
Saved her life, she nearly drowned.
He showed off, splashing around.
Summer sun, something's begun. Oh, the summer nights.
Tell me more, was it love at first sight?
Tell me more, did she put up a fight? Took her bowling at the arcade.
We went strolling, drank lemonade.
We made out under the dock.
We stayed out till 10 o'clock.
Summer fun, boy and girl.
Oh, the summer night.
Tell me more, but you don't gotta brag.
Tell me more, 'cause he sounds like a drag. Shoot-a-bop, 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 yeah! He got friendly, holding my hand.
She got friendly down in the sand.
He was sweet, just turned 18.
Well, she was good, you know what I mean.
Summer heat,
Boy and girl meet right off.
oh, the summer night.
Tell me more,
How much snow did he spend?
tell me more, will she get me a friend?
It turned colder, that's where it ends.
So I told her we'd still be friends.
Then we made our true love vow.
Wonder what she's doing now. Summer dreams ripped at the seams, but those summer
Lenny Watts, Erica Lustig, Tommy Dose, Louis Villabon, Tara Moran, and Michelle Dowdy. Welcome to Ricky Ritzel's Broadway, the February 2018 edition. As you can tell, that opening number is my first musical tonight, The Pirate Queen. Oh, no. Oh, that's not true at all. It's Grease, the 1971 show that took the musical theater world by storm. It started as a very simple garage-type parody of 50s in Chicago by Jim Jacobs and Warren Casey, based on Jacobs' high school years at William Taft High School in Chicago. Aside from parodying the 50s songs and humor, it was also very raunchy. Extremely raunchy. Early in the run, the producers from New York, Ken Weisman and Maxine Fox, saw the show and moved it to the Downtown Eden Theater February 14th, 1972. The reviews were rather harsh, with one critic stating, "The worst thing I've ever seen open tonight at the Eden Theater." How more blatant can you get? You know? Now, though the Eden Theater was nowhere near the theater district, the show's contract was for Broadway, and they were nominated for 7 Tony Awards, but they didn't win any. On June 7th, 1972, Grease moved uptown to the Broadhurst, where it stayed for a while, but it stayed running for 3,388 performances, closing April 13th, 1980, becoming the longest-running Broadway show until Chorus Line took over that title a few years later. Companies opened all over the world, including Mexico, where it was titled Vaselina. I'm not shitting you. I only know what I read in the papers. Now the story concerns Danny and Sandy, who met during our opening number. Then Sandy moves and ends up at the same high school as Danny, who was no longer the loving, sensitive guy Sandy met in the summer, but a real James Dean tough guy who hangs with his buds, including Kanicki. Now, this song Kanicki sings is all about this car, right? But it seems Kanicki doesn't really know anything about drag racing or customizing cars. A true drag racing enthusiast knows that the accessories Kanicki dreams of don't make a lot of sense together. For example, the 4-barrel quads refers to a carburetor, but a car with fuel injection doesn't have a carburetor. Those two things would not be on the same car, and no one would chrome plate connecting rods. Chrome plating was just for show, and nobody could see the friggin' connecting rods on a car. And though Palomino leather was popular for car interiors, no one would put Palomino leather on the dashboard. Finally, a kid in 1959 would either make his car look good or go fast. No kid has money to do both. Please welcome the ever-energetic... Wait, let me get the page here. There it is. This is Louis Villebon.
Why, this car is automatic, systematic, hydromatic. Why, it's Grease Lightning! Look at some overhead lifters and 4-barrel quads, oh yeah.
Keep talking, boy, keep talking.
Fuel injection cut off and chrome-plated rods, oh yeah.
I get that money, I feel like I get that money.
The 4-speed on the floor, they'll be waiting at the door. You know that ain't no shit, we'll be getting lots of tea. Grease Lightning. Grease Lightning, you're burning up the quarter mile.
Grease Lightning,
Everybody!
Grease Lightning,
Grease Lightning, you're closer to the inline drive.
Grease Lightning, Grease Lightning.
Yes, cream, the chicks will cream. Grease Lightning. Get some purple French taillights and 30-inch pins, oh yeah. A Palomino dashboard and dual muffler twins, oh yeah. With new pistons, plugs, and shocks, I can get on my rocks. You know that I ain't bragging, she's a real pussy wagon. Grease Lightning. Grease Lightning, you're burning up the quarter mile.
Grease Lightning, Grease Lightning.
Grease Lightning, you're closer to the inline drive.
Grease Lightning, Grease Lightning.
Yes, cream, the chicks will cream. Go Grease Lightning. dragon. That ain't no shit. Get lots of tit. Make me lightning. Lightning.
Absolutely really born. Then there's the 50s style love song. Please welcome our answer to London Fontaine. This is Tommy J. Dose and Michelle Dowdy.
I spend my days just mooning, so sad and blue, so sad and blue. I spend my nights just mooning all over you.
All over.
I'm so in love as any fool can see. 'Cause ain't there's a
Why must you go?
why must I go on mooning so alone?
So all alone.
There would be no mooning if you would call me.
Up on the phone.
I guess I'll keep on striking the poses till my cheeks have lost their roses. Mooning over you. I stand behind you, mooning forevermore. One day you'll find me mooning at your front door.
At my front door.
Oh, every day at school I watch you, always will until I got you. There's a moon out tonight.
Michelle Dowdy and Tommy J. Dose. You know, the writers were inspired to write this next song after seeing a news story about a teenage murderer who had recently dropped out of beauty school.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
Right.
Please welcome the angelic Lenny Watts.
I'm in shock what I just saw. I can't. Your story's sad to tell. A teenage ne'er-do-well, most mixed up, non-delinquent, on the block. Your future's so unclear now. What's left of your career now won't even get a trade-in on your smile. Beauty school dropout, no graduation day for you. Beauty school dropout. drop out. Missed your midterm and flunked shampoo. Well, you really should have taken time to wash and clean your clothes up after spending all that dough to have the doctor fix your nose up. Baby, get moving. Why keep your feeble hopes alive? What are you proving? You got the dreams, but not the drive. If you go for your diploma, you could join a steno pool, turn in your T's and comb, and go back to high school. Beauty school dropout, hanging around the corner store. Beauty school dropout. It's time you learn the score. Well, they couldn't teach you anything. You think you're such a looker. Well, no customer would go to you unless she was a hooker. Baby, don't sweat it. You're not cut out to hold a job. Baby, forget it. Once their hair done by a slob, well, your bangs are curled, your lashes twirled, but still the world is cruel. Wipe off that angel face and go back to high school.
That's what he wants. Now, Rizzo is the tough girl who gets around and finally shows her true soft heart in the second act. So here's the soft-hearted Michelle Dowdy to explain.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
There are worse things I could do than go with a boy or two. Even though the neighborhood thinks I'm trashy and no good, I suppose they could be true. But there are worse things I could do. I could flirt with all the guys, smile at them and bat my eyes, press against them when we dance, make them think they stand a chance, then refuse to see it through. That's a thing I never do. I could stay home every night, wait around for Mr. Right, take cold showers every day, and throw my life away on a dream that won't come true. I could hurt someone like me out of spite or jealousy. I don't steal and I don't lie, but I can feel and I can cry. In fact, I bet you never knew. But to cry in front of you, that's the worst thing I could do.
That's Michelle Dowdy. And now this final song from Grease was written for the movie, but added to the last revival in 2007 so we can do it. Here's the delectable Tara Moran and Louis Villebon.
You better shape up, 'cause I need a man, and my heart is telling you. You better shape up, you better understand. To my heart I must be true. Nothing left for me to do. You're what I want, you are the one I want. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hey, you're what I want, you are the one I want. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hey, you're what I want, you are the one I want.
I better shape up, 'cause you need a man
who can keep me satisfied.
I better shape up if I'm gonna prove
that my faith is justified.
Are you sure? 'Cause I'm sure not deep inside. You're the one that I want, you are the one I want. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hey, you're the one that I want, you are the one I want. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hey, you're the one that I want, you are the one I want. Ooh, ooh, ooh. The one I need. Oh yes indeed. You're the one I want. Yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hey, you're the one I want, you are the one I want. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hey, you're the one that I want, you are the one I want. Ooh, ooh, ooh. The one I need. Oh yes indeed. You're the one that I want.
Louis Villebon and Tara Moran. Now, I doubt many people know about this musical. It's a musical with a book by George Abbott, music and lyrics by Bob Merrill, and based on a 1921 Eugene O'Neill play, Anna Christie, about a prostitute who tries to live down her past. New Girl, unlike O'Neill's play, focuses on the jealousy of the character Marthy and on love's ability to conquer all. The musical ends far more hopefully than the play. Now, how could anything be more optimistic than the end of a Eugene O'Neill play? Oh, it puzzles me. Anyhow, George Abbott was in Hollywood when Doris Day told him about this musical movie of Anna Christie that pop songwriter Bob Merrill had written, but the project was shelved. At the time, the property was called A Saint She Ain't. Now, Bob Merrill, who had skyrocketed to fame a few years earlier, writing the Patti Page hit, How Much Is That Doggy in the Window, was writing his first musical score for New Girl in Town. Once Abbott returned to New York, he got in touch with Merrill, heard the score, liked it, and endorsed it to the producers of his two previous Broadway productions, Freddie Brisson and Robert E. Griffith, and about to produce his very first Broadway musical, Harold Prince. Choreographer Bob Fosse was eager to showcase the talents of Gwen Verdon, for whom the show had been fashioned, but the material didn't lend itself to big song and dance routines. So during rehearsals, he's devised a second act dream sequence that depicted life in a brothel through seductive and suggestive movements. And during its tryout in New Haven, it was closed. Fosse restaged the number at Abbott's request and restored the original version soon after the New York City opening. And then it was removed again for being too suggestive. But, as theatrical myth has it, it turned up in Pippin. New Girl in Town opened at the 46th Street Theater May 14th, 1957. Played 431 performances and closed a little over a year later on March 24th, 1958. It was nominated for 5 Tony Awards. It won 2 in the same category. For the first time ever, the Tony Awards had a tie for Best Actress in a Musical, and Gwen Verdon and Thelma Ritter split the award. Bob Fosse was nominated for the choreography, but lost to Jerome Robbins for West Side Story. Why, I don't know. The action stars as Anna, a former lady of the evening, recovering from TB, returns to her father's, Chris's dockside home in New York City docks. Her father knows nothing of her former life, and she wants to keep it that way. Meanwhile, Daddy's pal, common-law wife, sometime girlfriend, Marthy gets the truth and is jealous of Anna cutting in on his affections for her. Anyhow, Anna is just happy to be settling in somewhere. And here to express her joy is the morally steadfast Erica Lustig.
Yes, I will not be reenacting the brothel scene. Due to the late show. The brightest paper Valentine has nothing on this heart of mine. In spite of me, it's singing G. It's good to be alive. I figured me a hopeless case. I thought a smile would break my face. But all along, I figured wrong. It's good to be alive. Just like a clock, I'd tick and tock, and nothing was a kick. But now I'm glad I'm living, 'cause I know what makes me tick. Life never seemed so sweet before, like all the world's a candy store. And though it's been there all the time, I'm like a kid who's found a dime. It's all for me. It's good to be alive.
Meanwhile, Marthy and Chris go about their business fighting and making up, fighting and making up, fighting and making up. So please welcome also the fighting and making up, Christine Zabornik and Jay Rogers.
Listen, Dutchie, maybe I've been going about this thing all wrong, okay? Friendship, that's a very sacred thing. Now, you know that, don't you? It's an unwritten law. You and me, we've been through a lot, Dutchie. Don't you forget that. I know. I say when you got somebody you can count on, that's the thing. That's what I say. You're my friend, ain't ya? Or am I wrong? And a friend wants a friend to get along. Friends can have a better laugh than strangers can. Friends have better fights than strangers ever can. I'm just right for ya. I ain't too smart.
Marty, even when we fight, I'm behind you like a tail that's on a pup.
Okay, Dutchie, you say make, and I'll say up.
Make
Up.
you're just right, Marty. You ain't too smart. But you fight, Marty, and you take my part.
A guy said you ain't fit for pigs down Larry's bar.
What you said?
I said, yes, you are. You're my friend. You're my friend.
You're my friend.
Now, Chris and his father finds a sailor named Matt stranded in the ocean, and once ashore, he immediately falls for Anna. Please welcome the reliable Aaron Morishita.
The side'll make you sick. The sharks are getting thick. We're hit by gales and bit by whales just like in Moby Dick. The waves are going higher than a mountain. The whales are blowing water like a fountain. Them two guys in a boat, me, they're just rowing. Them two guys in a boat, going, going, going. Then a blinking miracle happens. Comes a mermaid out of the sea, holding out her hand to me. And look at her, excuse me, while I look at her and melt just like I'm butter in the sun. Look at her, she can't see just what she has done to me. I think she's sweet as taffy. She thinks I'm downright daffy. Look at me from the start. I've been choking on my heart, tasting words I'm too scared to say. I'm scared to make a move that she won't understand. I'm scared to smooth her hair or even hold her hand. I know I mustn't touch, but I don't mind so much if I can look at her, look at her, look at her. I'm scared to make a move she wouldn't understand. I'm scared to smooth her hair or even hold her hand. But then I realize the reason I have eyes is just to look at her. Look at her, look at her.
That's Aaron Morishita. Now, Chris is not happy when he discovers that Matt and Anna are an item. To top things off, Martha gets loaded and tells Chris about Anna's past. Matt finds out, too, and takes off on the next fishing schooner. Anna is bereft. Please welcome back Miss Erica Lustig.
They talk about the feeling of something in your rings. You fly around the ceiling, 'cause love can give you wings. The ringing is a lie. They say it's awful sad. I stumbled down the stairs once. It didn't hurt as bad. If love can give you wings and something in you sings, then maybe love just wasn't what I got. If that was love, it hurt an awful lot.
That's Erica Lustig. Now, Marthy feels so bad about spilling the beans, she swears off liquor. And a year later, Ann is working as a foreman in Staten Island. Matt returns home on his boat, Chris returns home on his boat, and Marthy is a reformed Salvation Army friend of the friendless worker. Raising money for the Seaman's Home, and everyone ends up happy.
You are WELCOME at the Seaman's Home. You hear? WELCOME ringing across the foam. We're an institution that deserves your contribution. 'Cause you're always welcome at the Seaman's HOME home. We give you chess and checkers and real fuck. God damn it, once more.
Friend of the friendless. Salvation Army.
We give you chess and checkers and real companionship. Gospel singing Friday nights. Home cooked navy beans, last year's magazines, making all your evenings bright. We give you chess and checkers and real companionship. Gospel singing Friday night. Home cooked navy beans, last year's magazines, making all your evenings bright. You'd make a contribution, but what more can you say? Then you've got 13 mouths to feed and one more on the way. Well, if you need assistance, we'll feed the little scamps and try to interest Daddy in hobby crafts or stamps. We'll give them chess and checkers and real companionship. Gospel singing every night. Home cooked navy beans, last year's magazines, making all your evenings bright. Everybody! Chess and checkers and real companionship. Gospel singing Friday nights. Home cooked navy beans, last year's magazines, making all your evenings real companion, real companion, real companion, real companion, real companionship. Hey!
That's Christine Zabornik. There, now you know. All right. Stories. Dorothy Fields had the idea for a musical about Annie Oakley to star her friend Ethel Merman. Producer Mike Todd turned the project down, so Fields approached a new producing team, brand new, Richard Rogers and Oscar Hammerstein, because they decided to produce their own things after Oklahoma. They agreed to produce a musical and asked Jerome Kern to compose the music. Dorothy Fields said she'd write the lyrics, and she and her brother Herbert would write the book. Kern, who had been composing for movie musicals in Hollywood, returned to New York on November 2nd, 1945, to begin work on the score for Andy, Get Your Gun. And 3 days later, he collapsed on the street of a cerebral hemorrhage and died. The producers and Fields then asked Irving Berlin to write the musical score. Fields agreed to step down as lyricist, knowing that Berlin preferred to write both music and lyrics to his songs. But get this. Fields had signed a contract as librettist and co-book writer and got 50% of the show. She still kept the contract, and she did not write one lyric, and her estate to this day gets 50% of Andy, Get Your Gun. No girl in town was. I'll give him 50%. I don't iron your shirts either.
Thanks, Dorothy.
Anytime. So, Berlin initially declined to write the score because he didn't know whether he could write a show with songs that progressed the plot, because he never did. Hammerstein convinced him. He convinced him to study the script and try writing songs around it. A few days later, Berlin said, come on over, and he played for him, Doing What Comes Naturally, You Can't Get a Man with a Gun, and There's No Business Like Show Business. Berlin's song suited the story and Ethel Merman's abilities, and he readily composed the rest of the score to Andy, Get Your Gun. The eventual hit, No Business Like Show Business, was almost left out of the show because Berlin mistakenly got the impression that laughing boy Richard Rodgers did not like it. I say laughing boy because he never did. Again, according to Broadway legend, the role of Annie was originally offered to Mary Martin, who turned it down. Ill on opening night, she was represented by her husband, Richard Halliday. Upon his return home, following the opening night, he went into her bedroom and said, "You're going to kill yourself." She did do the first national and the TV version in 1957. Loosely based on the love affair rivalry of Annie Oakley and Frank Butler, the show is set in Buffalo Bill's Wild West Circus. Factually, when 16-year-old Annie, real name Phoebe Ann Moses, showed up Frank's shooting competition, he was impressed and smitten. He was not, he didn't think it was a competitor. And they married 6 months later. He was 13 years older than her. They were married over 50 years. And when Annie died, Frank was so distraught he stopped eating and died 18 days later. We actually Ted and I went to their graves in Brock, Ohio, in the cemetery. That's all there is. There's no town. There's no buildings. It's a cemetery. Not a building in sight. All right, so let's get back to the show. I'm traveling the country. Buffalo Bill's Wild West show stops in Cincinnati, where manager Charlie Davenport and assistant Dolly Tate set the scene. Please welcome who else?
Wild West wild, who pleases every woman, man and child, who does his best to make the customers all thrill, Colonel Buffalo Bill, who's got the show that's got the most applause, 500 Indians and 50
Did you ever see a cowboy rope a steer?
No, we haven't.
Or an Indian with feathers throw a spear?
No, we haven't.
Or a marksman shoot an earring from an ear?
No, we haven't. Did you ever see a holdup? No, sir. Well, come closer and let me give you a little of the atmosphere. Suddenly there's a shout.
What? What?
What is it all about, you ask?
What is it all about? Indians?
Indians.
Indians?
Highly notable, penetrable Indians.
See, just when they've taken everyone by storm, who makes an entrance with a big white horse? Who starts to shoot until there's no one left to kill? No, Colonel Buffalo Bill. Certainly this is quite a thrill. Better than all of vaudeville. Let us be on the go and see the show with Buffalo Bill. Yeehaw!
That's Christine and Joy.
I'm leaving.
Now, the show's shooting star. Never mind. Frank Butler lays his reputation right in the line in this next song, and here's the perfect person to relay that air of machismo. Mr. Sidney Meyer.
I'm honored. I'm flattered. This greeting really mattered. This welcome is grand, but I'm really concerned. I like your attention, but first I have to mention you're playing with fire, and you're apt to get burned. There's a girl in Tennessee who's sorry she met up with me. Can't go back to Tennessee. I'm a bad, bad man. There's a girl in Omaha, but I ran faster than her pa. Can't go back to Omaha. I'm a bad, bad man. There's a girl in Wyoming, and they're combing Wyoming to find that man in white who was out with her that night. There's a girl in Arkansas, the sheriff is her brother-in-law. Can't go back to Arkansas, I'm a bad, bad man. Later when the show is done, I'll teach you how to shoot a gun. You may find it lots of fun with a bad, bad man. Tomorrow there's no matinee, so I will be around all day. I come around and play with a bad, bad man. You're enlightened, but frightened, though my interest you've heightened. It might turn out to be that you're much too much for me. So I'll go back to my tent, and someday when dream of hours you might have spent with a bad man.
That's Sidney Meyer. Now, Annie takes up the offer to compete with Frank, but is immediately love-struck and realizes the inevitable truth. Once again, here's Erica Lustig.
Oh, my mother was frightened by a shotgun, they say. That's why I'm such a wonderful shot. I'd be out in the cactus and I'd practice all day. And now tell me, what have I got? I'm quick on the trigger with targets not much bigger than a pinpoint. I'm number one. But my score with the feather is lower than a sailor. Oh, you can't get a man with a gun. When I'm with a pistol, I sparkle like a crystal. Yes, I shine like the morning sun. But I lose all my luster when with a Bronco Buster. Oh, you can't get a man with a gun. With a gun. With a gun. Oh, you can't get a man with a gun. If I went to battle with someone's herd of cattle, you'd have steak when the job was done. But if I shot the herder, I'd holler bloody murder. Oh, you can't shoot a male in the tail like a quail. No, you can't shoot a man with a gun. Though that's not right. If I shot a rabbit, a furrier would grab it for a coat that would warm someone. But you can't shoot a lover and use him as a cover. No, you can't get a man with a gun. The gals with umbrellas are always out with fellers in the rain or the blazing sun. But a man never trifles with gals who carry rifles. Oh, you can't get a man with a gun. With a gun. With a gun. No, you can't get a man with a gun. A Tom, Dick, or Harry will build a house for Carrie when the priest has declared them won. But he can't build you houses with buckshot in his trousers. And a man may be hot, but he's not if he should. Oh, you can't get a man with a gun.
That's Erica Lustig. That's it. Frank begins to care for Annie, and they start to talk about love. Please welcome Aaron and Christine.
Rumors fly and you can't tell where they start, especially when it concerns a person's heart. I've heard tales that could set my heart aglow. Wish I knew if the things I hear are so. They say that falling in love is wonderful. It's wonderful. So they say. And with the moon up above, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. So they tell me. I can't recall who said it. No, I never read it. I only know they tell me that love is grand. The thing that's known as romance is wonderful, wonderful in every way. So they say.
Rumors fly and they often leave a doubt, but you've come to the right place to find out. Everything you've heard is really so. I've been there once or twice, and I should know. You'll find that falling in love is wonderful. It's wonderful.
So you say.
And with the moon up above, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
So you tell me.
You leave your house some morning, and without any warning, you're stopping people shouting that love is grand. And to hold a man in your arms is wonderful, wonderful in every way. So they say.
Aaron and Christine. Now, to outdo rival Pawnee Bill's show, Buffalo and the crew get Annie to do a shooting stunt on a motorcycle. Annie can't wait to surprise Frank by showing him the next day, and she sings her little brothers and sisters to sleep. So please welcome the wide awake Tar Baran.
Behind the hill is a busy little still where your pappy is working in the moonlight. Your love country or sheep. Mama sing to sleep with the moonshine
Now, when this show was mounted again as the second Broadway revival in 1999, several songs were cut, being insensitive to Native Americans. Well, we've done 2 of those songs already. And are about to do the doozy. I apologize to anyone offended, but it's a time capsule and I like history. Thank you. Annie has become close with another show member, Chief Sitting Bull, and he decides to adopt her. Now, there was, besides the songs being cut, there was also a line cut from the revival, which I think is very funny, when Annie Oakley says to Chief Sitting Bull, "What kind of Indian are you?" And he says, "A Sioux." And she says, "Funny you don't look Sioux-ish." So here are the downright politically blasphemous Aaron Morishita and Jay Rogers. Doka daka, say hana sida, joala hua hua. Hey apina, hey lea blua, hey hey hoa, hey
Like the Seminole, Navajo, Chicopee, like those Indians, I'm an Indian too. A Sioux, a Sioux.
Cause like battle axe, hatchet face, eagle nose, like Indians, I'm an Indian too. A Sioux, a Sioux.
Some Indian summer day without a sound,
I may run away to Big Chief hole in the ground.
and I've got totem poles,
Tomahawks,
pipes of peace, which will go to prove I'm an Indian too. A Sioux, a Sioux. With my chief in his teepee, we'll raise an Indian family, and I'll be happy night and day.
I dressed up in a flour sack with 2 papooses on my back and 3 papooses on the way.
Like the Chippewa,
Iroquois,
Omaha, like those Indians, I'm an Indian too. A Sioux, a Sioux. Just like
running face,
I'm falling pants,
nosy face,
like those Indians, I'm an Indian too. A Sioux, a Sioux. Some Indian summer day without a care, I may run away with Big Chief son of a bear, and I'll wear moccasins, feather hats, which will go to prove I'm an Indian too. A Sioux, a Sioux.
that's you.
That's Aaron and Jay. Bye. How and how. Get out. So Frank is furious with all the attention Annie's getting and leaves to join the rival show. Now here's a song that was cut from the original production that may have been replaced by God the Sun in the Morning and the Moon at Night. But here to let us in on it is Christine Zabornik.
Hey there, you on the top shelf. Your skies are blue, pleased with yourself. Well, don't you get too cocky. The road is rocky, way up there. Life is sweet, rosy and round, but keep your feet close to the ground. The weather won't be always fair. There'll be ups and there'll be downs. There'll be smiles and there'll be frowns. There'll be hopes and there'll be doubts, ins and outs, but whatever the fates decide, take it in your stride. There'll be rain and there'll be sun. You'll have all and you'll have none. Hitch your wagon to a star, travel far, but you're in for a bumpy ride. Take it in your stride. There'll be friends both new and old. They'll blow hot and they'll blow cold. You'll be cheered and you'll be hissed, kicked and kissed, but whatever the fates decide, take it in your stride. Don't. There's only one more of these, I fucking promise. No bridge. No bridge. Just one verse after the other. Don't get too big for your crown. What goes up may soon come down. Someone's waiting just below, set to go, coming in on the rising tide. Take it in your stride.
That's Christine Zabornik. Frank returns. He and Annie kiss and make up. Now, this next song was added to the 1966 revival with Merman, 58 playing 16. Okay. Rumor has it the Merm was insecure about pulling off Anything You Can Do, so she asked Berlin to write another duet for her and Frank. So here are the nuptially proficient Michelle Dowdy and Tommy J. Doris.
I loves you.
I loves you back.
I never like living without you.
Keep talking.
You're so special in the world to me.
Keep talking.
I'm planning to marry you. We'll have an old-fashioned wedding, blessed in the good old-fashioned way. I'll vow to love you forever. You'll vow to love and honor and obey. Someday in some little chapel, somewhere where orange blossoms bloom, we'll have an old-fashioned wedding, a simple wedding for an old-fashioned bride and groom.
I want a wedding in a big church with bridesmaids and flower girls, a lot of ushers in tailcoats, reporters and photographers, a ceremony by a bishop who will tie the knot and say, do you agree to love and honor, yes, but not obey. I want a wedding ring surrounded by diamonds and platinum, a big reception at the Waldorf with champagne and caviar. I want a wedding like the Vanderbilt said, everything big, not small. If it ain't a big wedding, I don't want to get married at all. I want a wedding in a big church with bridesmaids and flower girls, a lot of ushers in tailcoats, reporters and photographers, a ceremony by a bishop who will tie the knot and say, you
Now, before we conclude tonight's festivities, I'd like to thank everyone here at Don't Tell Mama. Thank you. Please remember your wait staff. Randy, Sidney Meyer, thank you for the use of the hall. Johnny Mercado on Lights and Sound, this embarrassingly talented cast, and you. Thank you for coming out tonight. Remember, our next show is Thursday in March, Thursday, March 29th at 7. The shows featured are Gigi, Pal Joey, and A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Now back to Andy, Get Your Gun. Originally sung by Buffalo Bill, Charlie, and Sitting Bull to excite Annie to join in the show, it has become the profession's anthem. Please welcome first, Mr. Sidney Meyer.
There's no business like show business, like no business I know. All made up and soon you'll be appearing. Every bit of nervousness is gone, and the sound that's music to your hearing, to hear them cheering as you come on. There are no people like show people. They smile when they are low. How I wish the folks at home could only see what's come to Annie, how proud they'd be, getting paid for doing what comes naturally. Let's go on with the show.
The costumes, the wrestlers, the tumblers, the clowns, the roustabouts that move the show at dawn. The music, the spotlights, the people, the towns, the baggage with your labels pasted on. The sawdust and the horses and the smell. The towel that you've taken from the last hotel. There's no
Business like show business, like no business I know. Everything about it is appealing. Everything the traffic will allow. Nowhere can you get that happy feeling like you are stealing that extra mile. There's no people like show people. They smile when they are alone. Yesterday they told you you would not go far. That night you opened and there you are. Say on your dressing room they hung the star. Let's go on with the show. The costumes, the scenery, the makeup, the props, the audience that lifts you when you're down. The headaches, the heartaches, the backaches, the flops. Yes. The sheriff who escorts you out of town. The opening when your heart beats like a drum. The closing when the customers don't come. Everybody, there's no business like show business, like no business like everything about it is appealing. Everything about it is appealing. Everything the traffic will allow. The traffic will allow. Nowhere can you get happy feeling. Get that happy feeling when you are stealing that extra mile. There's no people like show
Warnick, Tommy J. Dose, Lenny Watts, Michelle Dowdy, Erica Lustig, Tara Moran, Louis Villabon, Aaron Morishita, Jay Rogers, and Sydney Martin.